Hello everybody, my name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL Game Week 20 Deadline stream in partnership with FPL Team. And it's live. It is 10:03 AM UK time. We are 57 minutes away from the Game Week 20 deadline. As per usual, I'll be answering many of your FPL dilemmas as I can between now and the 11 AM UK deadline. Please forgive me, I'm a little bit hoarse this morning. The advanced tier patrons who were on the team news stream last night will probably know I'm suffering a little bit from too much shouting Thursday night and a little bit of Christmas sickness bug, but I'm largely okay. For those advanced tier patrons, there is one change to the predicted lineups that you'll see for all 20 teams to the bottom right hand corner. A little bit of a rumour going around that Lucas Paquetá is a doubt for West Ham. I've put Crescencio Somerville in my predicted West Ham lineup. You can find those predicted lineups bottom right hand corner of the screen. You'll see my team top right hand corner. I booked Gabriel on Tuesday night for Virgil van Dijk. So this week I'm Verbruggen, Timber, Chow, Gabriel, Foden, Gimerez, Declan Rice. No idea if he's going to play or not. We do think he's travelled. Matthias Cunha, Thiago, Vice-Captain Hugo Ekitike, Captain Erling Haaland in reserve, Dubravka, Harry Wilson, Nico Riley, Omar Alderete. To the left of me, you'll see my correct score predictions. That will rotate around with my preference for captaincy. Not a week to take Haaland on. I think probably Saka, Foden, Cherky, Bowen. Probably best alternatives this week. Not a great week for alternative captaincy options. Benching dilemmas. You'll see directly below me where there are two players together. The player with the tick is the preferred option to start from those two players. They run in order left to right. Pages 1 to 4 have outfield players. Page 5 has goalkeepers on it, and the very bottom tick will have all the flag players in FPL at the moment. And the next 5 game week fixtures, FDR, courtesy of official FPL's official website. You don't have to necessarily agree with that. Right, smash a like, everyone. Hit the sub. As usual, play it your way. I want to give a shout out for my buddy Lee Sherwood. You've got this, buddy. Very best of luck. Everyone, play it your way. Let's do the questions. Good luck. Jody Pegler says, hi, James. Start one of Thiago, Mukiele or Gay. Also, would you start Sanchez or Dubravka this week? Thanks for the great content. All the best to you and your family for the new year. You too. Little preference for Dubravka over Sanchez as per the page 5 of the benching dilemmas. And I would go with a forward mate. He's on pens. I'd go with Thiago. The only reason to potentially go against that would be if you had Everton defence. If you do, you can consider that. But despite the fact I'm predicting Sunderland to win tomorrow, there's not huge confidence in that prediction. There is a negative bias from me towards my football club at the moment. Tough fixture for Gay as well. Palace are fatigued. So, yeah, I would be playing Thiago. Anish says 1 free transfer, 0 in the bank with issues for Keane, Rice and maybe O'Reilly. Fortunately got in Gabriel last week. Bench, Anderson, Lacroix. What to do? As in who to play between Anderson and Lacroix. I think Anderson with the fixtures, to be honest, a little bit more reliable from a DEFCON perspective as well. Your name in foreign letters I can't read. Semenyo says Semenyo to Gordon, Bruno Gimerez or Rogers. O'Reilly to Vardio or Nunes, or wait a week. Wait on the Manchester City one, I would say, because this suddenly feels like, oh, Nico Riley nervousness. I do have in my predicted Manchester City lineup. From your players to buy at this moment, I think if you're going at this specific moment, if that had been me this week, it would have been Morgan Rogers. And I probably would make the move. There's no reason to think Semenyo won't play for Bournemouth, but it's at some point soon it's going to become, well, when's he playing for Man City? Antonio Iraola seems to think he plays against Tottenham in midweek, right? But yeah, I probably would make that move. Timing-wise, I would be going for Rodgers, mate. CM Punk says, Happy New Year. 3 free transfers, 0 in the bank. Van Dijk to Tarkowski is a 4 to 6 game week move. Have Keane, O'Reilly, Gabriel, Alderete, Sanchez. Former 2 will be moved on soon. Or roll to 4, Virgil / Tarkowski to Munoz eventually. I'll probably leave that, I think. It's difficult to make a case, I think, for James Tarkowski at 5.6. I'm sure he'll do pretty well, by the way, over the next few weeks. But I don't know. Going for an Everton defender for a short-term run rather than a long-term view when you're saying you're going to move it on at some stage. Yeah, I'll probably leave it, I think. Statis says, good morning. Bench 2 from Alderete, Senesi, Xhaka, Minsa, Rice. So I think Senesi with the fixture is probably bottom of the shop on that. Xhaka, I'm sure, will at Defcons tomorrow. I'd probably play him. So I'd probably bench the two defenders out of that. Alderete over Senesi would be the preference. Adrian Farouk says free transfers, VVD and Foden to Gabriel and Gordon, or roll till game week 22 when Cunha is an easy sell, like and sub people. I presume you need to downgrade Foden to put Gabriel in. There could be some regret there on Foden, I think. I know he's cut the blanks, but Gordon will be a transfer waiting to happen in a few weeks as well. I would prefer it was Rodgers, as per the previous question. You may already own Morgan Rodgers, so I understand that. I don't think those two transfers are massively better. I don't think Anthony Gordon will start these two games for Newcastle. Palace and Leeds. I'm not convinced on that with Anthony Gordon at all. The bringing Gabriel in, I totally get, mate. On Anthony Gordon, I'm not convinced. King of Mandalore says, hi, James. Can you order Dorgu, O'Reilly, Stack, Alderete in terms of who to start? Would you risk starting Rice in case he cameos? Ignore if covered. Yes, I would probably play Declan Rice in most scenarios. From your others, you'll find all of them on the bench in dilemmas except for Stack. Stack O'Reilly, and it's probably the closest one now. I'd probably take a chance on Anton Stack this week. Simon B says, hi James, play Van Dijk or Stack? That I would, again, close. Again, with my prediction leads to win 1-0, feels like big hole potential there, remarkably, for Stack. I probably would go Stack. Anton Stack, I'd probably shove in the bench in dilemmas. Probably just below Harry Wilson, probably, I think, roughly. Jock Goat says, have free transfers, 0 in the bank. Can do VVD Gabriel, but would need to sell Verts to 7.6 million mid. Who would you go for? Would you pull the trigger on these moves this game? It will roll into 4. Yeah, Verts to Rodgers. That's the preference. Failing that, alternative being a Newcastle player feels like decent timing. Or it might sound ridiculous, but if you don't own Declan Rice, 1 week further down the line here, we'll be talking about Chelsea going into midweek fixtures, I think. But there's obviously an element of unknown. Like, is Enzo Fernandez going to end up playing more of a deep lying position with no idea? That could be one, but you wouldn't force that through this week. Gabriel and Rodgers, I think, is the answer there. Cremoso says, hi James, Happy New Year. Should I do Mount to Paquetá or Garner? Well, Paquetá's a doubt today, as just said. Which one free transfer, or roll and play one of Joachim Anderson or Potts? Which one? With Garner, I said on the podcast yesterday that it would possibly feel a bit like the guy in the two girls gif, where it's like, oh, I got James Garner and Dewsbury Hall's back in a couple of weeks. He's doing well at the moment, James Garner. So, I mean, out your question, I've got to say Garner. Yeah, I don't mind him as a pickup. I think playing Anderson or Potts wouldn't be particularly terrible this week either. Biddy T Production says, morning Jay Lins, I have the exact money to do Verts and Rodon to Gabriel and Rodgers -4. I already have double Arsenal defence. Should I move now or just do the first move? Lacroix, O'Reilly, Dorgu and my other defenders. Yeah, I'd get it done, yeah. HM says, Happy New Year, you too. Jedi7 says, Raya, Van Dijk, Verts to Pickford, Gabriel, Rodgers -4. I'll assume the Raya move to Pickford needs to Gabriel and stuff. That's my assumption. So I'm going to say yes. Will Jones says, morning James, had planned to take Verts out next week, but with the doubts around him starting, I'm thinking of bringing the transfer forward a week. Do you prefer Gordon or Rodgers to replace Rodgers comfortably? Yeah. Anthony Gordon, there was a chance this week. So there was a chance for me at deadline for the last game. I said it was kind of going to be Gabriel or Rodgers for me to bring in this week. And a lot of that would have been like if Bruno Guimaraes got put and suspended. I may have taken the path to come back for Gabriel. It would have only been Rodgers for me. Anthony Gordon would not have been a consideration. Will Jones says, morning James, had planned to take, that's what I've done. Wee Man Bruno, like and subscribe for the best free content around. Remember, if it goes wrong, blame the caretaker. Yeah, there's someone we know was on the team news stream yesterday. Yep, blame the caretaker if it all goes wrong. For our patrons watching along live, by the way, do drop me a tag on Slack if we've got any early team news going around. Sorry, just reading something that's not relevant to team news. Yeah, drop me a tag on Slack if we've got anything, guys. And yeah, smash a like, hit the sub button. Harry B says, hi, James. Currently starting Minter with Lefay first bench. Would you use one free chance to sell Minter to Rodgers or Josh Rowe? Oh, awkward one. I haven't got Minter in my predicted Brighton lineup, and I see via jump the wave. The majority of the Brighton predictors don't either. I seem to think he's probably not going to start. I think there's enough encouragement probably to get that done. That doesn't mean if you own Minter for someone else that he's a definitive sell, because I think for most of you, he's probably a play this week, isn't it? But I mean, ultimately, if you were saying play one of Minter or Rodgers, I mean, clearly I'm not going to not say Rodgers. So yeah, I probably would do it, mate. Gavin Richardson says, hey up, James. Are you at that point where you want your team not to get a result in order to bring things to a head? No, not at all, Gavin. I never feel like that. Never. Because ultimately, I already know with Thomas Frank that it will come to a head anyway. It's just a case of when. I think the season, as I've said, is probably largely a write-off in terms of trying to achieve our objectives. That we're not going to finish top 5. So we could end up qualifying for Europe, even possibly with him still. I think it's a possibility. That would be similar without him. The players aren't good enough at the moment. Ultimately, the worst case scenario is Tottenham will appoint a different manager in the summer. So no, I don't feel like that, Gavin. There's no point in that, right? I always want my team to win. He won't last the long term, whatever happens tomorrow, mate. CM Punk says, play 2 of Rice, Keane, Alderete and O'Reilly, and bench order for the other 2. Miley currently third bench. I want to say all of them are on the bench in dilemmas, except for Declan Rice, who I would put at the top of that list, but the other 3 are on the bench in dilemmas, mate. Spooky Sorcerer says, hi, James. Did VVD to Gabriel 4 free transfers sell Semenyo or Wilson, but for who? Have Rice, Foden, Cunha also sell O'Reilly or Keane to get one of Chow or Timber? Get both. Morgan Rogers again, and yes, I would get Timber in. I would get Timber in. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Is Timber and Gabriel. So yeah, I would get both done, mate. Eddie Robinson says, hey James, first start Chow, Dorgu or O'Reilly. Another one, I think they're all on the bench in dilemmas. Yes, they are. Second, should we give Frank the full season? I want to commit to a project, but it's also so bad. Cheers. It doesn't matter. Eddie, I've said this on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. Whether Frank is sacked or not isn't important. It's who they appoint next is way more important, because it's inevitable, whether it's Monday, next week, next month, in the summer. I cannot believe it's going to go on beyond that. I'm pretty sure Tottenham are looking for the right person. I actually do have confidence that that's happening. If not, then, well, they've got a screw loose. There's no chance, mate. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I think ultimately, like, even if we put someone else in new now, I think it's an interim manager till the end of the season, because I think who they want is probably not available till the summer. So I think it ends up being an interim manager. It probably makes a huge lot of difference. We might enjoy the next 4 months a little bit more, but you just got to do pain, I think, for the rest of this season, mate. Relative pain. I understand this team's worse off than mine. Bertica says, hey James, can't quite afford Gordon. Do you think Bruno Guimaraes is a decent midfield option for 7.2 or under? If not, any other suggestions? Already have Rice. Cheers, mate. Yeah, I don't mind the Guimaraes call. Rand Cherky, obviously, in around that value, if you're not already loaded Manchester City players, does feel like a slightly better call at this moment. Don't Tottenham, please. I saw one great FPL manager yesterday considering Kudos, and I'm like, what is going on? Dan G, what's this tag all about on Slack? Can you let me know what that is? You tagged me and there's nothing to it, mate. Please let us know. Next up, yeah, I don't mind Guimaraes. He's in my team, but I'm fine with it, mate. Churiscu says, hi James, would you get Rodgers for Semenyo for -4? Cheers. No, probably not. I think for 3 there's a timing element to it. But if Semenyo does hang around for the Tottenham game, then it's probably not worth it. And then same move again, probably in game week 22. Rowboat says, best first replacement. I have 1 million in the bank. Already got Gabriel, so don't need to free up the money for him. It's Rodgers and other players that I've mentioned after that. Rewind says, start 2. Dorgu, Rice, O'Reilly, Virgil van Dijk. Again, you'll find the defenders all on the bench in dilemmas. Declan Rice would be at the top of that list, mate. J. Broski, free transfers. Mr. Gab price rises, but do I still do Saka? Mukele or O'Reilly out for Gab. I wouldn't sell Mukele at the moment. And Bruno Guimaraes or just Dave and have... fuck's Dave, mate. And have our free next week. PS Happy New Year. You too, brother. No, I think wait at the moment with Saka. If you got Saka and you're like forcing to sell Saka to put Gabriel in, I'm not sure that's quite right at this moment. I'd leave that be at the moment. I don't know who Dave is, brother. Sorry. HM says start 1, Dallo, Vandenberg, Konsa. Bench order for the other 2. Best of luck, thanks. I'd probably go Konsa. I'd probably go Konsa, Dallo, Vandenberg in that order, probably. Gazman says, morning, James. Good luck as always. Could you please give me your favourite combo for the next few weeks? Cunha and Garner versus DCL and Bruno Guimaraes. Chasing Cunha now after seems a bit weird. I wouldn't, if you've got Cunha and Garner, you can't be that you're thinking of going DCL and Bruno Guimaraes. But chasing Cunha now feels a bit weird. That's not like I own, and I don't think any of us are particularly going to sell over the next 2, but it feels a bit weird to chase it now at this point. I'd let that go. I'd probably take the alternative route, the DCL route, mate. Alex MJ says, morning, James. Bench 2 from O'Reilly, Dorgu, Semenyo, Wilson, Mukele. You'll find all of them on the bench in dilemmas, mate, except just replace Alderete with Mukele. Got double Arsenal defence, so Semenyo's a clash with that. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I factored that in, that a lot of people would have the Arsenal players, but I just still think with Semenyo, his talisman, just play, mate. Jacob Frost says, hey, James, Happy New Year. My only way to Gabriel is a -4 from VVD and Rogers, Cunha, Bruno, Guimaraes to Gabriel on downgrade. If which one would you get rid of, roll this week and make a decision next week? Next week. I'm not sure I understood the question properly there, but I think next week I wouldn't be moving Rogers, Cunha or Bruno Guimaraes on this week. AG says, hi James, stuck around 2 million overall right now with Haaland basically only captaincy option. Any advice on how to differentiate and climb? Don't feel that you have to differentiate. Look, teams with the best fixtures at the moment is a bit shit. You don't have to. You don't. I was speaking to one of our patrons in midweek who's like, I had a steady climb of greens constantly. He's not like rips it up, but keeps having steady climbs of greens by actually staying quite close to the template at the moment. There isn't a rocket science to this. I can say, oh yeah, put a few more differentials in. We've got a bang, haven't they? I actually think at this moment, probably don't be too far from the template is better advice. Jock Goat says, hi James, would you start Verts or O'Reilly? I mean, if I had Verts and I was keeping him, I'd start him. I'd take my chances. Tom Sleeman, how confident are you that Gabriel starts? About 99%, mate. Motta says, hit the like button for the big dog. Thank you. I'm a short dog, really, but I appreciate that, Motta. Thank you. Cameron Ross says, hey, mate, got a Gameweek 20 wildcard put together. I'm going to be honest. No, I strongly advise against it. If you've activated, good luck. But I don't, going to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to look much different to my team. I put one together for Gameweek 19. There were literally only 2 changes from my squad. I would find a way to probably have Rodgers in there at the moment, and honestly, it wouldn't look much different from what I've got. I did not have time to do it, even on our Patreon podcast yesterday. Same as free hit. My day was exhausting yesterday. So, no, I've not looked at it, mate. Angus says, would you risk starting Minter ahead of Dorgu Keane? Probably yes. Colin Johnson says, morning, mate. Happy New Year. VVD to Gabriel. Minter to a downgrade, or play VVD and Minter. I own Timber for cover. Yeah. And I don't know how far you need to come down, but yeah, like Antoine Stack at the moment, perfectly reasonable. Jedi says Senesi and Rogers or Virgil and Garner. That's a really weird one because I'm not sure I quite understand this. You wouldn't be buying Senesi at this moment, would you? But Rogers would be the buy. You're not buying Van Dijk at the moment, so this doesn't really make sense to me. It's confused me. You wouldn't buy Senesi or Van Dijk at this moment. I'm not sure I quite understand that. As a pairing, the priority player there feels like Rodgers, so I'm going to say that, mate. Hussam Bali says, hi James, thoughts on Kudus? No. Literally. doing this for the last 4 months. It doesn't look like scoring. Gavin Richardson says on the podcast this week, it sounds like you want to run through the cup final game at 30 and either attack with a free hit later or more concerned with game at 4 chip pod coming up. Yeah, we'll do strategy after the FA Cup third round. Once we've got the draw for fourth round, it might just help us just in case a big name or two goes out in the third round. We'll do it then and we'll look at it. But if you watch the Midweek FPL Dilemma on Patreon, you'll know that I think the chips are going to be way more useful at the end of the season. In short, you're probably looking at something like Game Week 32, wildcard, bench boost 33, free hit 34, triple captain somewhere else. I think that sort of strategy is going to be really, really popular. Now, cup results might end up being different and it changes the game. Amanda Bergen says, hi James. Hello Amanda. Berhard says, morning Jimbo, I hope you're well. Who in your opinion is the best enabler under 6 million that will deliver pretty consistent returns of the Xhaka, Stack, Garner? Who would you suggest? As said in yesterday's podcast, I think with Anton Stack, that fixtures don't matter. And I think that's kind of the case with Xhaka as well. I mean, all three of those players in around that value are okay. For me, I'd probably go Stack at this moment. I think so. Zarish says, should I play for Fana or De Kuyper? Smash the like this year. You take the chance on De Kuyper, don't you, mate? Over the Hill says, last free transfer on Verts to Rogers. Yeah, thumbs up. Abdul Hamid, hope you're well, mate. Says, sitting at 3.5 million. Want to go Hincapi to Gabriel. Do I pair that with Raya to Rose or Verbruggen or Kelleher? Thiago to Barry. No, don't do that. Or Ekiteke to Barry. At least my... yeah, no. I keep hold of Ekiteke at the moment, mate. I wouldn't be going to Tierno Barry. There's every chance Beto will just play tomorrow. I'm sure Beto will start one of the next two. You can look at, oh my God, Brentford and Wolves. They're probably going to play one each. So which goalkeeper basically is the answer to your question here, isn't it? Rose for Bruggen, Keller. I got Sunderland top my ticker over the next 5. It's fine. I haven't got Brighton miles behind that. Gameweek 21 at Man City looks ugly. Otherwise, their fixture's pretty decent as well. It wouldn't be Kelleher at the moment. It would be one of the other two. I don't know if value takes any reference to that, with Rose being a little bit higher. I think either are fine, personally. The FPL points return so far this season would suggest that Rose is the better pick. What I would say also to that, though, is with Sunderland, I think like Alderete, Mukiele, and I think in a couple of weeks when he comes back, Reynaldo, all very decent full fifth defender options. Brighton don't have that. So like ending up with double Sunderland defence might be something I end up with. Like that's not the worst thing in the world. But I think with Brighton, I could say, right, if you want investment in Brighton, no point bothering with their defenders. Like you might as well have for Bruggen. Whereas at Sunderland, there is a case to say, well, Alderete, Mukiele might be better than Rose. So just factor that in. I think just straight Rose versus Verbruggen, slight preference for Rose. But yeah, just consider the other factors I've said. Doris Sutz says, hi James, I have Verts and Minter and O'Reilly. Benches Joachim Anderson. Do you think I should take a hit from midfielder? Please recommend. Already use one free transfer, Semenyo to Rogers. What if they both miss out? That's what I'm trying to work out for you. I don't know if it's worth the hit though. Yeah, timing for midfielders other than Rodgers feels and Newcastle players feels a bit shit. Maybe Guimaraes. I'm not sold on Gordon personally. Not sold on it at all. Mr. MUFC says, I would sit on Pino to Minter, but injury spooked me a bit. Can we expect Minter to start? As already covered, I've not really got anything to add. We're not sure, basically, mate. Ivor Logoff says, start Enzo or Michele. That's interesting, that. No reason to think Palmer wouldn't start, therefore it's probably not on pens. I probably would go Michele, you know. AG says, I know you don't like Spurs assets, but how much do you think Richarlison plays in the next 4 games? He's not in my predicted lineup for tomorrow. I said this on the podcast on Monday. I said, you can't expect Richarlison to play Brentford Thursday, Sunderland Sunday, Bournemouth Wednesday, Aston Villa in the FA Cup on Saturday. You can't. Right. So he's highly likely not going to start either tomorrow or Wednesday. My instinct on Monday was when I looked at him, yeah, in the middle, probably don't start the Sunderland game. So I haven't got him in my predicted lineup for tomorrow. Don't go there, man. Fantasy News says, hey James, season's best to you and yours. Would you transfer Paquetá in for Wilson for free? No chance. He's a doubt, mate. O'Reilly and Wilson for Gabriel and Potts for a hit or roll. Got Keane and Rice already. Smash a like. Yeah, what we're doing out here is taking out 2 decent assets to put in 1 very good asset and 1 shit asset, basically, in Potts. Potts is fine for his value, but, like, is that going to, like, play for you? Yeah, I'm not convinced on that, mate. Got Keane and Rice already. Yeah. So you probably, there's every chance you're going to have Potts starting, aren't you? I don't think we can say that this week, on the face of it, it's better. You've lost 0.2 in terms of price rises on Gabriel. I think at this stage, under that circumstance, I'd let it go this week. Official Gym Pro says, morning, O'Reilly to Van der Ven on Michele. I haven't got Mickey Van der Ven in my predicted Tottenham lineup either. Same thing. Same thing as Richarlison. This is a player who's known to be injury prone. When we had a period of games that was 4 games in 10 days, which is the same as this, that's kind of started with the Brentford game, and had one just before it as well on the Sunday. It was Palace away on the Sunday. Van der Ven, he started at Arsenal, he started at PSG, he started Fulham at home, and he had to because Romero was suspended for 5 yellow cards. Otherwise, I think he'd have been left out that night. A little bit like the fixture tomorrow. Then Van der Ven didn't start at Newcastle. Also, Romero's getting a suspension at some point really soon. And we don't... Well, I say he is. He might be. I don't think Frank will want to be in a position where he's, oh, shit, I should have given Van der Ven a rest. Oh, now Romero's suspended because he's got this disciplinary hearing. Right. I think there's every chance Mickey Van der Ven won't start for Tottenham tomorrow. I'm telling you, don't go near Tottenham players. Zaris says, play Minter or Anderson. James and FPL, good. Happy New Year and subscribe. I would chance Minter if I've got, mate. Alex Manser says, morning, James, 2 free transfers, thinking VVD and Joachim Anderson to Gabriel and 1 other, maybe Tarkowski. Would you go Nunes? Yeah, I'd prefer the Nunes pick. I just don't think Tarkowski's worth that at 5.6, personally. I'm sure he'll do fine. Anyone who owns is going to be quite happy, particularly for these upcoming fixtures. But as I answered someone earlier, I think he's going to end up being a transfer out in a few weeks for you. Oh, I need some money. Oh, is Tarkowski worth 5.6? No, probably not. Sid's Hand Dorge says, good afternoon, James, on a 3-5-2. Which 2 would you start in defence? Gabriel is lot. Alderete, Michele, Hall and Dorgu. I'm definitely starting Hall if I've got. The rest... Me personally, bearing in mind he'll probably play centre-back, slight preference, Michele over Alderete. Uros says, hi James, bench 1 of Minter, Lacroix, Anderson. Apologies on benching dilemmas. It's not, you can replace Gay with Lacroix. I mean, same answers. I date Kate Moss, good for you. Captain Palmer could likely to lose 6-0, but I could see him putting on a show. Play it your way, mate. Gavin Richardson says, what is more likely to happen? Wolves to get to Derby's points total, or you to get 30% likes on the stream? What's the percentage of likes currently? That's a good question. I don't know the percentage of likes. Yeah, 25% or so. Yeah, not too bad, but yeah, so we're going to hit 30%, aren't we? Smash a like, people. Howard Bromley says, that doesn't mean Wolves can't make it, by the way. Howard Bromley says, happy New Year, James. Is it worth doing Foden and Rice to Rodgers and Guimaraes from -4, or just Rice to Guimaraes this week, or could roll and play Miley? My instinct is that Declan Rice will play. We think that he's travelled. We don't know that factually, but we think that he's travelled. There's a reliable Arsenal source that has said that he's travelled. The thing is, if you sell Rice and he starts, like, how gutted are you? Declan Rice, I said this on pod yesterday, is a long-term choice. He's not, I'll dip Declan Rice in for... He went in for long-term reasons, right? I'd leave that be, personally. Ross Cordinley, morning Jimbo, happy New Year. What to do with Verts? Rodgers. Amanda Bergen says, worth it to move O'Reilly out using money free transfer, thinking Tarkowski or VDV. I wouldn't go to either of those 2 players at the moment, Amanda. FPL Tira says, good morning, James, and thank you. Play one Vandenberg, Stack, Lefebvre, Anderson. So I would chance it with Stack, mate. David James Whiteway looking to roll this game week and next to have 3 times 3 to deal with any issues over FA League Cup games. Okay, good luck. Elliot Lander says Virgil and Thiago to Tarkowski and Welbeck. Wow. Welbeck wouldn't be a guaranteed starter either, and then he goes to Man City in midweek. See Brighton going with Matoma, Minter, Welbeck today. Pressure is on a little and win jumps from 14th to 8th, subject to other teams and what they do, mate. I recognise it could have that sort of jump. They're also unreliable. They drew it home to all 3 promoted teams last season. 4-day turnaround, Welbeck is not a guaranteed starter, mate. He probably does start, but he's not a guarantee. And again, Tarkowski have covered. It's not massive. I'm sure he will do quite well over the next few weeks. We've got very little doubt about that at all. But I do think it's something. I don't know if you've got enough gain. Is there enough gain on Tarkowski over Van Dijk? Just sit down and think about that for a moment. I'm bringing an Everton player in over a Liverpool player. Is this right? I don't know. You might get more out of rolling on that, I think. I wouldn't have been going to James Tarkowski. That's what I know. Like if Gabriel had been injured, I would have been sitting here and going, I'm going to go Van Dijk to Tarkowski. Like I can only say it would have been a strong no from me. Elliot, I've done. Hirade says, morning James, thinking of moving VVD and O'Reilly out for Gabriel and Chow for 2 free transfers. Thoughts have exact money for it. Yeah, I don't mind that. Because I think Newcastle as well, like short term, like really good. That's cheaper. It's not as big as like the 5.6 ticket. And I think he could be quite useful for you further down the line. Also, if you've got a Sunderland defender, it rotates quite nicely. I don't know if you do, but yeah, I'm happy with that one. And it involves Gabriel. George Baker says, morning James, start 3 of Keane, O'Reilly, Alderete, Rice, Minter. They are all on the dilemmas except Declan Rice, and I would have Declan Rice at the top of that list. John Jugru, which forwards would you have on wildcard? Probably the same 3 that I've got. And maybe not. No, I'd probably, if I was wildcarding this way, I'd probably find a way to put Bowen in with the next few games that West Ham have got. So, yeah, for me, probably Haaland, Ekiteke, Bowen, and I'd be happy to downgrade somewhere else in the team to make that happen. Charles Chan says, hi James, would you sell Minter or Rice to Rogers? Minter. Gunners Girl says, morning James, happy new year, you too. Lee Sherwood, hello darkness, my old friend, we got you buddy, good luck. AHM says, hi James, I'm selling Petrovic, who should I buy? Anyone. Anyone, mate. I've lost your question. Where you gone? I literally can't see it. You're buying Petrovic. Where you gone? Sorry. Terrible content, I know. I'll find you. A lot of questions to get through. I'm going to start rattling through these. Petrovic. There you go. I got you. Who should I buy? Looking at Gameweek 20 to 30, I'm thinking Pope or Pickford. Anyone better in your opinion? Yeah, Pickford fine. Perfectly fine for that period. Give an alternative shout maybe for that long period. Might be Zachi Emi Martinez. Might be decent as well. Nothing wrong with Rosal for Bruggen as discussed earlier. Right, we'll have a sip of water. Patrons, again, if we've got anything in terms of team news, please drop me a tag on Slack and I'll get it shared with the people here. Might have something. Nope, don't. Sorry, useless information. It happens. Right, let's rattle through these. Owen Sinclair, Chow and Cherky versus Timber and Gordon. Pick one. Timber and Cherky. Right answer. Timber Cherky. Greg FPL says, what you reckon to VVD to Saliba James for free? 6.1 budget. Okay, if you've already got Gabriel. Otherwise, no. Tommy and Peace, Rice and VVD to Rogers and Gabriel for -4. Do you have to sell Rice to get towards Gabriel? If not, it's a no from me. Bobby says, hi, mate. Start 2 out of Alderete, VVD, Hincapié and Anderson. And 2 out of Thiago, Jimenez, Guimaraes, home fixture. Jimenez over Thiago. Probably, yeah, the next to each other, bench and dilemmas, Jimenez. Hincapié, top of the defender list. And yeah, I would still just play VVD. Absurdologist says option 1, sell Vandenberg, buy Gabriel and bench O'Reilly. Option 2, sell Wilson. Yeah, option 1, mate. Jesus says start Tavernier or Potts. Tavernier. Fraser McClellan, hi James, hope you and family as well. Best Calafiori replacement up to 6 million. Gabriel already in place. Other Arsenal in squad is Rice. Cheers. You want 2 moves here, in my opinion. One is to set to put Timber in, not now, but set to put Timber in, probably in Gameweek 22. So how far do you need to come down? That's the important bit. Don't necessarily overlook Sunderland. Honestly, it's fine. Come all the way down if you need to, maybe. Berticus says, start Rice or Harry Wilson? Rice. Theo says, hi James, happy new year. No question from me today. Just want to say thanks for the content 2025. Thank you, Theo, for your support. Katan says, morning James, hope you're well. Will you bench Frimpong or Keane? Yeah, he says have Keane starting for now. Yes, I agree. Andrew Sands, morning handsome. But like, I do think Tarkowski and Keane, like if they play this week, could be great, right? I'm just thinking of the longer term. If you told me, by the way, that Michael Keane was going to play, I wouldn't mind that as a short term, right? But that's also going to be under threat from Jared Branthwaite soon. So you got to have your kind of eyes on the prize here. Andrew Sands says, morning handsome. You need to put some goggles on, mate. Got my 10 times steps in this morning. Rolling to full free transfer next week. Starting Rice. Got Neto first bench. Feels like another low scoring week where we reach for our benches. Could be. Karan says, start Lacroix or Nico O'Reilly. Draclorian, would you move O'Reilly for Tarkowski or roll? Bobby says, would you do Jimenez to Welbeck for free? No. Thomas Thornton says, morning mate, would you start Thiago or Verts today? Also, is it worth risking Ekateke captain? Thiago and no. John Lawler says, no questions, just want to say thanks for the content, you're welcome. Dreg Unit, start Miley or Jockey Manderson. Chance your arm on Jockey Manderson, mate. You never know, they win 1-0, could be a nice haul. Again, just checking if we got anything in terms of messages. I'll get back to the questions. Nothing at the moment. Not expecting anything, to be honest, from the early kickoff. It's more, to be honest, if there was any Arsenal information. You know, they're on the beach in Bournemouth, that kind of shit. Where's Andy Martin when you need him? Charlie Edwards, first sub, Goodmanson or Alderete? Goodman's, well, I've backed them both to win 1-0 this week. But truthfully, the probability of a Leeds 1-0 win, I think, is higher. Joel G says, rank Bruno, Guimaraes, Sade, Kudus and Rodgers over the next 5 weeks. Rodgers, Guimaraes, Sade, Kudus. JM start Stack or Virgil van Dijk. I would probably, with my predictions, I genuinely chance it on Anton Stack. George von Schreiber says, anyone else just getting black screen? I'm going to hope that's a no, mate, because I'd like to think someone would have told me by now. Gareth says, hi, James. Can you order Rice, Verts, Anderson? Yeah, the order you've written them. Chris Brum says, glad I set a bus team. Shit going down Venezuela. All I wanted for the new year was an uneventful 2026. First, Brennan, then this. I wish you well. If that's a Tottenham sadness that Brennan Johnson's left the football club, I'd have some Rice Krispies or something, mate. Randall C says, does Keane need dealing with now? Obviously, Start is in question, plus Branthwaite on horizon. Chow, a solid replacement. Look, David Moyes was hopeful that Michael Keane would play. If you sell him this week, you are gutted. That's a flip of what I've been saying. You would be really disappointed, I think, if you see the team tomorrow and he's in it and you've sold him. I don't know what you've got in terms of bench cover. If you haven't got anything, you want to consider it. If you have decent cover, where Leeds, Sunderland players, anything like that, leave it be, mate. Peter says, hi James, thoughts on Voltemade and Mateta? I have both sat there with Erling and thinking of keeping both. Cheers for good luck. Then do so at the moment. I think there's every chance Voltemade will be back in the team tomorrow. I thought that Vissel would start in midweek, and he did. Eddie Howe said prior to that game, he said, look, he can't start regularly. And I thought, well, Burnley's the opportunity to give him the start then, isn't it? So I think there's every chance Voltemade comes back in tomorrow. If he doesn't come back in tomorrow, he'll be back in for Wednesday, near certainty. Mateta, minutes have been a bit better recently, and also what I would say is, like, if you don't know where you want to go, then stick at the moment. Pup says, hi James, I've been looking at full fifth defenders and none jump out at me. Can you list your top three under 5 million? Alderete and Mukiele, both really good. Probably can't invest Everton at this moment. Malik Chow's not under that, is he? Matty Cash, I don't mind that, but not as something that would start every week for you. Van Heck is okay. It's slim pickings, mate. It is. It's really difficult to find where you want to go. I think that's like why it's not criticism of anyone, but say like Tarkowski's really interesting this week. Is you're looking at the teams with the very best fixtures this week, right? I would say that's Everton, Brighton, frustrate the hell out of you. West Ham, Wolves playing each other. Maybe like Manchester United at Leeds in terms of a ticker. I don't want to go there. That they've just had better fixtures. Liverpool okay at Fulham. You're like, well, their better fixtures have just gone. So where you're going to, and I get it, that's why some people even ask me about Tottenham players, right? It's like, timing-wise, this don't look great. You fast forward to Tuesday, bang, Chelsea. Now, I wouldn't recommend Wesley Fofana for you because I just think it'll get rotated too much. So I'd Sunderland. If I've got to go, I'll go right down at the moment. I don't need to. It might be useful for you further down the line. Lucas Gabriel says, sell Rice for Rodgers or Bruno Guimaraes or VVD for Tarkowski. If I sell Rice, I would only have Gabriel in terms of Arsenal assets. I don't know if I should sell Rice if I know he'll start versus Liverpool. Yeah, look, Declan Rice was a long term. I said this earlier. You did, get Declan Rice in for Christmas. You didn't. Well, if you don't play, you don't play. Andrew Sands says, thoughts on Matty Cash, fourth defender for next game week. There you go. Although if you were going to do it, I'd prefer you do it now. Nasserel Badini says, hi James, do you expect surprise in Thiago rest this game week? No, but it's possible. I'm certainly aware that he might not start tomorrow on Wednesday. That's a possibility, but I've got him in a predicted lineup. Chris Aaron Nev says, Bowen on pens if Paquetá is out. Not if Wilson plays, I wouldn't have thought. I would have thought Wilson would be ahead of him. Jack Lorian says, have Rice, will start him. Who first bench? Potts or O'Reilly? Morgan Reeves, replacements for McAllister. Anton Stack, you'll do worse. Jack Lorian, have Rao. Would you transfer a role? Don't fancy anyone else doing this role, mate. It's obvious. Shah Sujan, I don't think that's my guy. It says, first time I've heard you called Jay Lins, and I think I like it. New nickname incoming. Suj, we're in our 40s, mate. Classy Citizen says, best 5.6 million or cheaper mids for the next period. I think Tavernier is the best with a great entry point next week. You've answered your own question then, mate, haven't you? Joseph W says, hey James, would you buy Tarkowski? No, roll. Liam says, hello mate, have Raul, but debating going down to Obi and bringing in Gabriel for either O'Reilly, Keane or Joachim Anderson. Thoughts? I wouldn't. You know me, like you're asking the wrong guy. I like the free up front structure. Brown Lee says, hello James, start Dorgan or O'Reilly, both on the bench in Darlena. Zem says, hi James, what is the ultimate woke nonsense in football for you? For me, it's players having first names on their shirt. Yeah, it's a decent shout. I just won't follow up on anything. BT says, Alderete or Lacroix, first bench. Alderete. IHM says, my defence is Lacroix, O'Reilly, Senesi, Anderson, Mukiele. Should I sell one of them to get Everton, Newcastle defender with my second free transfer? Wait, and who? I don't pick Arsenal players. Sad Spurs fan, play it your way. Malik Chow. Ben Taylor says, hi James, got 0.7 in the bank. Should I transfer out Jimenez or O'Reilly? The transfer in must start. I think you got many must starts over a Christmas period, mate. Roll is the best advice I can give you, mate. Jumpers for goalposts says, morning James, happy new year. What's your view of Rodgers and Lasek? Yeah, good. Mayank says, Rodgers or Cunha. If you're buying new, Rodgers. Murray M, had James bench one of Timber, Matthias Nunes, Cherky or Bowen. Imagine benching a forward against Wolves. From that list with reluctance, mate, Matthias Nunes. Traz says, why O'Reilly before Alderete on your bench? Why not? Why not? I've got O'Reilly in my predicted lineup for City, mate. And ultimately, the probability of their clean sheet will be higher than Alderete's this week, despite my predictions, of which, by the way, I'm benching both for a clean sheet, and yet I've still put Harry Wilson above both on the bench. David Pazmar says, hey, James, hope you're well. Shall I start Potts or Thiago? Over the hill, Hincapi to Gabriel for a hit. No, you want to set to get there, but I think Hincapi will play. OG says, hi James, best Verts replacements. Had him as a 2-week punt on wildcard 19. Plan was always Rice for long term. I don't want to risk Verts because I see a benching. Odegaard, Trossard, Gordon, Bruno Guimaraes from that list. I'm going to say Bruno Guimaraes. Alex says, hi James, hope all is well. Couldn't catch the team news stream. Did you have Minter starting? Torn between him and Nico O'Reilly. No, mate. Bottom right hand corner of the screen, you'll see it come round, I think, in a sec or so. But no, I don't. Doesn't mean he won't. Omar Ahmed says, I had James. Would you start Keane with Truffer off the bench if Keane's out overall? Sell Keane to another defender. Rather you sold Truffer to like a Sunderland player. If you don't have that, I'd rather you did that. Just leave that at a minute. You put a bit of money in the bank and you can upgrade Keane in a few weeks. Toby McBride says, hi James, just want to wish you a happy new year. I'm over 100 points behind the league leader at work. Any advice moving forward? Do I need to take more risks with captaincy? No, you don't. The only thing you need to do is play it your way. You can still make that ground up. Good luck and thank you. George and Gibbs says, would you play Elliot Anderson or Lafay? Cheers, pal. Lafay. Andrew Sands, in isolation until at least game week 30. O'Reilly or Vardiol. Wouldn't buy either at this moment. If you don't own City now, I think at this point, other than maybe putting in like Cherky, I want to go to free attacking, I'd leave that defensively at the moment. Let's have a look again before game week 23. Because that run from there then feels better and more important than getting it right now. If you had to have one or the other at this moment, the safer play for me to say to you is Vardiol. Because whether it's centre-back or left-back, he probably will play a lot. I think Nick O'Reilly will as well. But 10 game weeks forward, fuck knows with O'Reilly, mate. I said this on the pod yesterday and I said it last week as well. The way Manchester City are playing at this moment is probably not how they're playing in March or April. They'll find a different way of playing again. Joel G says, rank Bruno Guimaraes, Sade, Kudus and Rogers for over the next 5 weeks. I've already done that. Marcellison says, happy new year to the FPL GOAT. Thanks for your contribution to the community. Would you do VVD and Semenyo to Gabriel and Rice for this game week? I mean, difficult to say to buy Rice at this moment, right? You might need to do that for money purposes. Is there a way of coming down to a cheaper enabler, truthfully, something like Stack, and then coming back for Declan Rice in 22? Just a thought. James Brennan says, hi James, start Semenyo or Ruben Diaz if on Arsenal double defence. Yeah, I mean, leaving that. I'd still probably Semenyo, I think. Probably. James Brennan says, hi James, start up, done. Yo says, Anderson, Mukeli, Heaven, start 1. That's Elliot Anderson, by the way. Based on my predictions, it's Mukeli, isn't it? Toffee Man Mike says, hey James, one of Mukeli, Gay or Senesi? Same answer. Mitchell Joseph, hi James, Rogers in for Minter or Wilson in for Minter, mate. Rohan Baj says, no, we're not doing this Richarlison talk. I've already done it, mate. Tyrell Maxfield says, do you think Snow will disrupt some of the fixtures this week? No. I must have a username. Happy New Year. Is Pedro Porro a buy? No. And listen to the bit I did on Tottenham on the podcast yesterday is going to be the best answer to your question. Erno Molesco says, hello, Masochist Anonymous. Yeah, I'm about to buy Mickey van der Ven. Can you help me, please? What I've already said will. OG says, Odegaard, Bruno Guimaraes or Rogers for Verts. Rogers. I love this. It's like, wonder what James thinks or if he's mentioned Morgan Rogers at all during this stream. James McDonough says, one free transfer of a bench of Richards, King and Chukwueze. Is a role using the transfer preferred in your view when I have rotation risks such as O'Reilly, Cherky, Thiago, Gabriel wants to roll? I mean, what's Chukwueze doing sitting in there, mate? Get that on. What are you holding that for? Get that moved on, mate. I'm Romeo. Top 3 midfielders around 7 million for the next 5 game weeks. Morgan Rogers, Bruno Guimaraes. Next 7. I mean, it's still right. Yeah, truthfully. Ian Everett says, morning, mate. Happy New Year to you and yours. One free transfer, thinking Wilson to Bruno Guimaraes or Thiago to Bowen for short-term game. Which do you prefer? Also tempted to triple captain Haaland. I'm a Chelsea fan and I think it will be bad. You don't know. You got no idea what you get from Chelsea tomorrow. So I like a strong no on the second bit from me. Yeah, don't mind the Bowen move. Martin says, would you bench O'Reilly or Mukiele? Replace Alderete and Mukiele on the bench in dilemmas. You will find your answer. Blown mind. O'Reilly, Verts, Thiago, Semenyo, Klein. You reckon 3 out of these 5 are going to start? No, I reckon 4 out of 5. In fact, no, possibly even all of them. C. Fusa says, thoughts on benching Neto and Verts for Alderete and Mukiele? Thanks. I think it's a strategy play to try and get the best of a potential Sunderland clean sheet, and I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I mean, I probably wouldn't do that, but I don't hate it. It's a strategy, right? What a brilliant differential for you if Sunderland keep clean sheet tomorrow. So I don't mind it in theory. Yago says, risk holding Verts for 1 more week, then move to Enzo next game week, or move on this week. Prob to Rogers. Yeah, move on. Like I said, it might get complicated now with the Chelsea assets, but we're better off waiting a bit. Like, who's picking the team? Where's Enzo going to play? Yeah, none of it's particularly helpful. Last minute shout to our patrons. If we've got anything on team news, please drop me a tag on Slack. We are not expecting anything. Martin says, start 2 of O'Reilly, Mukiele, Goodmanson and O'Reilly. Offside 30. Would you start Wilson on Miley this week? Wilson. Keith Longe. Happy New Year, James. I have Szoboszlai first bench and Rice as a starter. With 4 at the back, VVD, Gabriel, Timber, Dorgu. Shall I start Szoboszlai? Yes, over Dorgu. David James Whiteway, Spurs need Ancelotti. Yeah, better than what we got. Jody, I think he's busy with Brazil. Man, he might not be after the World Cup. Jody Oates says, it won't let me free hit this week because I free hit last week. He's not free hit in 2 weeks and now a rule. No, you can't do it. They said that at the start of the season, mate. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. R1CHOC, would you start Mukiele or Wilson? I feel like you're more likely to say Wilson because an attacking player, but I don't really like it versus Liverpool. You've asked the question, you know what the answer is. The answer is what you thought it would be. O'Reilly and Wilson to Alderete and Saka. Already have Gabriel. I wouldn't run to Saka. I think he's a hold for most people, clearly. A great option for this week. I'm not sure I'd run that way with the structure at the moment. It feels like you've got money, so you can do it. But honestly, just wait. You might sit here in a couple of days and think, I want to go Palmer. Just wait at the moment. B. Gall says, not tempted to bench boost. Not even in the slightest, mate. I've got Declan Rice, so I don't know who's going to play at all, mate. More than Jay, most memorable Tottenham fixture you've been to. This one time in 2019, I went to this place called Amsterdam. Just answer my FPL questions, man. Urus Milicevic says, time to sell Foden, get Cherky. No for me at the moment. IHM, Pickford and Chow or Pope and Tarkovsky. Pickford and Chow. Better call on Mar. VVD, Mukiele, Dalot, O'Reilly. Choose 2 to start. If you've got Van der Ven, then probably, yeah, reluctantly. Who's the other ones? Lost the will to live on that one. Where's your fucking question gone? Mukiele, Dalot, O'Reilly. I'm playing O'Reilly, mate. Ben Taylor, thanks, James. Agree with your call again. You're very welcome. Michal Taru, play 1. Xhaka, Gay, Lewis Miley, Xhaka. MG Becky says, hi, James. Play Van der Ven or Van Dijk. Starting Wilson, if at all matters. I mean, yeah, Van der Ven. I do think there's a chance he's benched tomorrow. But then if he's benched, chance doesn't get on at all. That game at Newcastle didn't come off the bench. Yeah, Sunderland at home. It's like, you should play it. I know. Yeah, Van der Ven. Yeah, so little confidence in that, mate. FPL Marshall, which 2 would you start? Hall, Keane, Minter, or Thiago? Hall if I own. Well, mind you, I would chance the 2 attackers, but that's me, and I play the game differently, probably. Swiss Wabby, 2 Arsenal, 2 City defenders. Which, if any, do you leave on the bench? A City one. Helen Bettersworth, Cherky, thoughts? Yeah, decent option. People want to get there. I wouldn't run from Foden to Cherky at the moment, as I've said, but yeah, decent option. Just someone sent me a picture of some very heavy snow in Newcastle. Oh no, panic. I'm sure it'll probably be fine. Paul Whitehead says, no question, will be past deadline, just a high and thanks for the content. I got there before deadline, mate. Life's got in the way of fancy, but a long time listening to the pod back in the day. Thank you very much, Paul. Hope you're well, mate. Happy New Year to you. King of Mandalore says, Simon Collins reporting that Declan Rice has travelled and joined the team on a usual pre-game walk. Again, as said, we thought he travelled. Yeah, I got that. My man's Angus shared that as well. TJ D70. Hey James, you got through all the questions. I reckon that deserves a like, people, and a Patreon sub. Support the show, Patreon. If you want to even look through my Twitter timeline, you'll find a link on there to a 30-minute video of the best bits. It's free. You don't have to sign up to Patreon. Have it. Go on. Happy New Year. Have it. That's something for you to watch in the next half hour. So you will only find that link via my account on Twitter or Blue Sky. GP, start one of Vissa, Stack, Palmer, Vardio. The rest of my squad really is better this week. I think if you've got Vissa, you've got a chance that he plays, but he might not. Hiko Tashumi says start the Bravco Sanchez. They're 4th and 5th on page 5 of the benching dilemmas. FPL Uproar, good luck guys. Helen Bettersworth, happy new year. All good luck this everyone. Good luck this game. Fucking hell, get your words out, James. Try again. Drum roll. Happy new year. All good luck this week. Thank you, Helen. Highland Real, hi mate. Start O'Reilly or Elliot Anderson. Cheers. They're both on the benching dilemmas. I've got to wait for it to turn round now. As per the start of the streams, yeah, many of the answers to your questions are on the screen. We are 2 minutes from deadline, guys. Your questions are all covered. There is nothing to share on team news other than what's that's been reported that Declan Rice has been on the walk. Arteta knows they're going to get spotted. Doesn't mean he's available. Right, blown mind. Will Potts score a hat-trick? I'm going to say probably not. Jordan Murphy, what's your coffee routine? One caramel latte in the morning, that's me done. Yeah, I can't drink too much of the stuff. But yeah, that's me regularly. And I might be giving it up and going black coffees and stuff soon. I think it's a possibility. 1 minute to deadline, guys. Please do get those teams locked in. As mine is... Still looks the same as what's on the screen. That's good to know. Yago says Anderson. That's jockeying versus Marley for our second bench spot. Anderson, Daniel Cooper. Anyone you want Spurs to sign this January? Yeah, sure. Adam Wharton, Elliot Anderson. Either. Not fussy. Either of them will do. Harry Kane. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm pleased to see that in the first day or so they've focused on some outgoings because they need to get some shit out of the club to open up squad space. Right, we are at deadline, guys. If you've got any non-FPL stuff, smash it in the chat. I'll cover off a few cues till the Villa Forest lineup comes out at 11:15. If you came just for the FPL stuff, smash a like, hit the sub button. If you can support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Plenty of content. Back to a full regular week of content next week. What you get on Patreon, free members, you got access to the best bits every week. Basic tier gets you access to no ad content and early releases. The content gets released earlier on Patreon than it does to the public. Basic Plus tier will get you access into our Slack community and access to my spreadsheet planner, which includes over 17 sheets of stuff. I say over 17, actually that's a lie, it might be 17. Intermediate tier will get you to all the podcasts, and advanced tier will get you to all the additional content. At advanced tier next week, away days from Brentford Monday and Bournemouth Thursday, midweek dilemma Wednesday, team news stream Tuesday, Friday. There will be a Zoom call in there at some point as well. Intermediate plus tier patrons will have access to one of those bits of content as well, probably one of the team news streams. Basic Plus tier patrons will have access to one of the podcasts that's available to Intermediate Plus and Advanced tier patrons as well. That will be next week, Q&A Monday, Game Week preview on Tuesday, differential show. Wednesday is a quiz. Thursday, Tottenham, once I get back from Bournemouth. Friday will be Ask James is on Patreon next week. The public content will be Game Review podcast on Monday and Friday. Clash of Correspondence Tuesday. We'll get it out early for you. Sunderland versus Brentford with Spencer Barrowman and Tom Med. Wednesday, the Fan View with Gary Mantle. Thursday, that show with Nico. Wednesday, Thursday might change round. Support the show at www.patreon.com/planetfpl. If you would like access to the additional content or you'd like to support the content that we provide, no one promises to make you a better FPL manager. And if not, as said, sign up as a free member. You got access to at least the best bits every week. And you never know, I might drop something extra. I might. Depends how I feel. Okay, that's the content and the patron spiel done. Let's do some non-FPL. First up, we're going to do... thank you, Jordan Murphy. Appreciate that. King of Mandalore. If Premier League clubs were a pasta dish, what dish would they be? I'm going to struggle with it because I'm not a pasta connoisseur, mate. I'm not really. You know, I'm like a carbonara or spaghetti bolognese. I can't come up with 20 pasta dishes, mate. But yeah, I mean, if you could think of the worst pasta dish, that's Wolves, isn't it? User says, good luck everyone, blown mind, a solid game at 20 ahead, all best chat. Andy says, hi James, was away in York for New Year. Nice, York's a nice part of the world. Walked past a pub called the Harry Hotspur. Oh nice. Apart from this, what would you call a pub if you bought one? Ledley's. Yeah, I knew someone was looking to take over a pub in Tottenham actually and asked me advice on names, and I said, yeah, call it Ledley's. They didn't take over it, by the way. Andrew Sands says, rank these rices: egg fried, pilau, mushroom, biryani. The order you wrote them in. I'm an egg fried kind of guy. Wee Man Bruno, as a Borough fan that can't score goals, any Prem loan moves that we could get that would score goals? Gosh. I see Joel Perot is apparently going to Coventry on loan. That would have been a sort of decent shout. You're probably not doing well enough to nick like a Krupi Jr. What about Enis Unal? That might be one where he's building him back up for fitness for Bournemouth, sorry. And he does a job for you. That's maybe a realistic one. So Bournemouth technically have got 3 9s. So if you could nick Krupi or Enis Unal for the end of the season, maybe something like that, maybe. Excuse me. Andreas Braga says, hi James, do you think Eze already regrets his transfer to Arsenal due to lack of minutes? Look, he's playing for one of the best teams around, not just in this country but in Europe, and all it takes is like an Odegaard absence and he's in the team. There is, I think, a little bit of concern for those two, but I wouldn't say regret. I don't really think that's fair actually, but I think both Eze and Madueke are in a period of earning trust of what Mikel Arteta wants from his players when they don't have the ball. I don't think it's an on the ball problem. I think it's an off the ball, and please don't misconstrue that as players don't work hard. It's just what he wants from the pieces of the puzzle in terms of where they are and stuff. And I think in his moments of wanting to trust, he's reverting to Odegaard. I still think, I know Arsenal fans criticise Odegaard a lot. He's a special player and he understands all the tactical intricacies that Mikel Arteta wants. But like, say if Declan Rice's absence today, I think he goes and trusts Mourinho more than he does at Eze at the moment, because he knows one thing he'll get with Bournemouth is an intense football match. You would think anyway. So like if Rice is out, if you're Eze, you're looking at him, what's going on here? I get that. But I don't think regret would be the right word. I don't think he would have rocked up at Arsenal thinking, I'm going to play every game. If he did, then he's got regrets. Diljit says, Happy New Year, James. Good to see that you spent New Year's Day in the greatest borough of London, i.e. Hounslow. What were your thoughts of the day apart from leaving? That was the best bit. We went for a nice meal. At a place called Fire and Flames, which is near Ramscourt Park, which is near the Hammersmith end. Then we just got a bus towards the ground, and then afterwards we walked back under the flyover and got a tube bus back to Hammersmith, and then got back on the tubes. And didn't see much of the area, so I can't give you much on that basically, mate. But that restaurant, it was nice. It was a really nice restaurant, and I paid. I got mugged off there, didn't I? I wanted to get out. He's gone to the toilet. I'm gonna have to pay for this, aren't I? He's done me dirty there. Love you, Dad. Mr. Auden J says, Captain Minter. Good, I wish you luck. Bonnie says, I'd rake Conor Gallagher still. I think he meant take. BT says, will Semenyo be a difference maker for City when it happens, or will Pep slowly bed him in? Reckon fear he could be dangerous combining with Doku, Cherky, Foden. We don't know. some players like adapt quite quickly. So like Marmoush was used quite a lot when he went there last year, right? And now this year he's struggled for minutes more. No, I don't think we can know. There's no way of saying. It could even be that Pep's leaving in the summer and they know who the next manager is, and that's a player that he really wanted, is also a possibility, right? Often with City players, it takes a while to integrate. That's not always the case. And he's a great player, Semenyo. Adam says, what 5 footballers do you enjoy watching the most in today's game? Can't say any Spurs players. Not that you would right now. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Could I just stick to the Premier League? Or do you want me to go Europe as well? Tell you what, just put in the chat Premier League or Europe, and I'll come back to it. But I don't watch as much European football as I recognise I should. I've just seen one. I'll come on to a minute that's made me laugh. John Bright says, worst run club in the Premier League. Worst run club? It's got to be Wolves, isn't it? I think. I don't think any Wolves fans going to try and put a defence up for that. Greg says, should Man United be activating their 15 million buyback clause for James Garner this month? I'd be surprised if that's real. Because if they have that, then yes, they 100% should. I'm not convinced that that's right, Greg. You sure it's not meant to be 50-50? Harry B says, please say something positive about Rosenior, mate. Yeah, I will. I really like Liam Rosenior. We spoke about him a little bit on the podcast yesterday. I'm only gonna repeat that because I don't know anything more at this stage. I've seen some little bits last night that kind of express a will for some very aggressive man-to-man pressing, which could be quite interesting. I really like his communication skills. I really liked him. I said this yesterday when he was an analyst actually back in the day when he might have even been before he finished playing on the EFL games on Sky. I thought he came across so well and I was like, oh my God, you're going to be a top at, you're going to go right to the top. But I thought we'd been media at that point. Obviously now he's gone into coaching. His communication skills are excellent. He had some interesting coaching methods. Like I just said, you're probably looking at an aggressive man-to-man press possibly. He's only just scanning stuff online last night. However, reality, mate, that jump is massive. You wouldn't not want it to be, right? Like if you were buying a player from Strasbourg, let's be real, you don't know if that player's going to work out or not. So the jump is huge. We'll see. I think you couldn't feel more confident about Chelsea for the rest of this season than necessarily you would have before Maresca's departure. Like they were an absolute shoo-in for top 5, and now I don't think it probably still will be. But I don't think you could be assured of it. So look, reality is it probably won't work because the jump's massive. The manager market's also awful at the moment. It's like I'm sitting here going, I'm sick of Frank, right? Obviously. But then the next follow-up was, who do you want, James? I'm like, oh, fucking hell, I don't know. So it's a tough market at the moment. The club knows him. People obviously employed know him because obviously there's a relationship between the two clubs. I'd say give it a chance. It's not his fault. So, like I said, I think he's quite likable. Give him the opportunity. You know, he might still be. I wish him Maresca was there. It's not his fault. Give him the chance. See how you look at the end of the season. It's a jump. It's a real jump. The instinct is it probably won't work. Jonathan says, hi James, what did you think of Wirtz when you see him live the other week? Bit underwhelmed in general by him so far. Yeah. Yeah, can't add on to that. I think most of us who have watched quite a bit of Florian Wirtz, obviously for me particularly playing for Germany, but also a few times for Leverkusen, and those obviously watched him at Leverkusen, still kind of think, special player they are. However, if you didn't know the price tag and just watched him on this season, you wouldn't think much. And that's the reality. It's similar with me watching Xavi Simons at the moment, right? Some adapt quick, some don't. And it might be that it's just not the right league for him and stuff. It's also a possibility. I know that there's a player there. But yeah, on the eye, yeah, thing is as well, you play certain players, you think, oh, fear when he gets on the ball. There's nothing that I could, oh shit, Verts has got it. Do you know what I mean? You get that kind of emotional, oh, I'm like fear or something. No. So that speaks, I think, because he should be a sort of player. It's like, oh, shut him down. Do you know what I mean? Shut him down. He's too creative. Didn't feel it. That's the truth. IHM Spurs fan here. What do you think about Pochettino coming back? Likely. Yeah, I know there's a few reports on it last night, but I said this on one of our Patreon pods about 3-4 weeks ago that's what I think will happen. And that's why it's kind of almost irrelevant about Thomas Frank now as well. The biggest problem with that is, you know, if America go really deep in the World Cup, then he's there till potentially July 19th. But opening day of the season's not till sort of August 22nd next year. I think it would be a mistake. I've said that so many times. But I also feel that maybe Tottenham need to get it out their system with him. And the one thing the crowd will do with him is give him a chance. They'll give him jump in the first 3-4 months under him is shit, and you're trying to do the project thing. You know that because of his history with the club, the fans will be more patient with him. I definitely won't be watching this shit, that I do know. I have grave concerns because I don't think I ever saw a great Mauricio Pochettino team without Mr. Dembele. I mean that. So fixing that midfield would have to be so important. But yeah, I think it's the most likely thing that happens here. Yeah. And I don't mind it. By the way, me saying I don't think it'll work isn't me saying I'd be unhappy with it, because clearly if he came in, I'd be excited at the prospect of it and desperately wanting it to go well and would give him my full backing. I think now it's also acceptable in the sense, I think before, when he's been linked back, I've said everyone who was there before must be gone. So it's back with his football club. So now the only thing that's left from since he was there is Ben Davies. And I don't think Ben Davies will be a Tottenham player next season. So, and Ben, gentle Ben anyway, wouldn't be like a problem. He's not an ego player or anything. It would be fine if Ben did hang around. So it would be it's new football club now, even to the extent that Levy's gone, right? Even the people running the football club are different. And I think that needed to happen for Poch to be able to come back, is that he finds a different football club. It ultimately is a different football club now. Cole Sliffer says, hi James, who's the most famous person, non-footballer, that you've seen in real life? Happy New Year and good luck for 2026. Non-footballer I've seen in real life. Probably the date I had with Scarlett Johansson, I think. Just going back 5-6 years or so now. It's not true. Don't spread this in media. Most famous person I've met. Non-football. Shit. Or seen. I used to see a lot of the, when I worked in a pub in Crouch End when I was 19, used to see a lot of the EastEnders cast from back then. So I don't know if that would count. But yeah, I used to see a lot of the EastEnders. I didn't speak to them much. You'd say hello at a bar or whatever. But yeah, I used to have a lot of the EastEnders cast. Used to drink around there. I don't know if they still do. Next up is Jordan Murphy. What is the most hostile away day fixture you've been to? Most hostile? It'd have to be one overseas. Mind you, I'd throw in the last time we played at Upton Park was a dangerous night. It was. You could feel that go. It's probably an overseas. Hostile. I don't know. When it's hostile, like dangerous, or like the atmosphere in the ground, or like hostile environment atmosphere. Like everything in Frankfurt, I'm going back to Frankfurt next month, was kind of made to feel a bit hostile, but it was all right. They were good support, but it didn't feel overly intimidating. Like the atmospheres in Germany are quite choreographed. Hostile, it's tough. That it's hostile. I read into the word fear. Rangers won as well. Maybe I went up there in December. It's a Europa League game. I should have made way more noise against like Celtic and stuff like that. Again, fun, scary up there or anything. Yeah, I'm struggling with that. I don't know if it's meant atmosphere. Atmosphere, it would surprise people, but the only place I've ever been and I felt there was no point singing was Bernabeu. Only place I've ever felt like that was back in 2011 Champions League quarterfinal. There was no point singing that how loud, I couldn't believe it how loud they were. But it was just loud. Maybe that. I don't know. A tough one, that. It's a decent question. Let's do the teams. I'm sure they're probably now in. Let's see if we've got them. No, not there, James. No, not there, James. Right, official channels then. Aston Villa. Expecting a few changes from the lineup, no doubt. Oh, come on, James. It's terrible content. Fucking losing subscribers by the minute here. Let's put the predicted lineup I had up for you so we can compare and criticise my predictions. It's Martinez, Cash, Konsa, Lindelof, Maatsen, Kamara, Tielemans, McGinn, Buendia, Rogers, Watkins. Right, you can't criticise that then, can you? Nottingham Forest. Good guessing, James. Nottingham Forest. Yeah, we've got a few changes here. Ola Aina does start. So let's see what we've got here. It is John still in goal. So Ola Aina's in. So yeah, Williams back to left back. Murillo and Milenkovic, obviously. Elliot Anderson and Dominguez. Hutchinson plays. Gibbs White plays. Igor Jesus plays. Bakwa for Hudson-Odoi is the change in there. And John Victor is still in goal. I did think that might change after midweek. So he's got the backing at the moment, hasn't he? Right, let's finish off these questions and then we'll go and enjoy our Saturday. Jay Barker, morning, James. What is your darts walk-on song? Undertaker. We have the Undertaker. We go one of extremes here. We could go like Undertaker or HBK, one or the other. I'm Sean. Gavin Richardson says, how many shakes would be allowed in your imaginary Ledley's pub toilets? As many as you want, mate. James Brennan says, hi James, who do you want to win in the darts tonight? I don't have a preference. I will watch it tonight. I must say I've not seen a lot of it this year. It's Van der Veen, isn't it? Littler's playing in the final tonight, I think. I didn't even say. Well, I know Littler won easy last night. I was travelling back, and I think Van der Veen was playing well. I don't even know, to tell you the truth. Question myself now. I thought Littler, was it after his last 16 match? I thought he really did act like a bit of a dick, to tell you the truth. It was quite off-putting. So yeah, I don't mind if he it is Van Veen in the final. I don't mind if he gets beat, but I don't have a preference for him to get beat either. Gavin says, football teams as pasta. I suggest spaghetti alphabet bites for Wolves. Also, is Wolves v Spurs the fixture with the most letters in the team names combined? You've clearly never seen anyone play Borussia Mönchengladbach, have you? Next up is my friend Ian from Melbourne. Do you think many fans have attended more consecutive home matches than yourself? The club ever recognised such achievements up the Shrimpers? No, it was nice. Many might have heard me say that Gary Mabbott called my dad on his birthday a few weeks ago. Gary Mabbott called my mum on her birthday yesterday as well. So that's nice. No. I think when you're older, probably, like if I'm still around when I'm 99, they'll wheel me out on the pitch, won't they? I used to come here in 1990 when we weren't this fucking shit. Like, it'll be like that, won't it? You know. Jan Nagnar says Spurs will trash Sunderland. I'm convinced, just a Spurs thing to do when they're in form. What form? Gavin says, will yourself and your dad do all the league games together this year? And if so, would it be a first? Yes and yes. Yeah, I mean, look, touch wood, we stay healthy over the next 4 months or so. But, yeah, he's got a ticket now for Bournemouth on Wednesday. That's the hardest one. So I think now, despite how shit it is, yeah, there's a commitment to go to every game. So Depends what happens in Europe a little, but domestic league games, yeah. And it'll be the first time he's done it as well, all 38 league games. So, yeah, that's going to get done. I imagine we'll only be playing one FA Cup game. Don't see us beating Villa next week as it stands. And then Europe is quite dependent. But yeah, there's a chance this football season will finish and I'll have only not been at one game, and that'll be Bodo Glimt away. And I hope you'll forgive me for that. Blow Mind says, I was going to say Deadline. When I did the content, there is Deadline stream on Tuesday, by the way. Although I've got Harry as well. Yeah, I'll do my best. And there'll be one. Oh no, it's FA Cup next weekend, isn't it? Blow Mind. Newcastle Blue Star versus Easington Colliery and Newcastle Benfield versus Wickenham have been postponed due to frozen pitch. Thanks for that, mate. Adam said, let's do Prem then, mate. Can give 3 if easier than 5. Oh, right. This was players I enjoy watching the most, wasn't it? I'm actually still going to put Eze in there. Because I don't think it's fair to judge differently. I'd said this previously about 18 months ago that I felt he was probably the most enjoyable player in the league to watch. So I will put him in there. It's not putting him in a category of best players, but most enjoyable to watch. At the moment, I mean, Cherky's a shout now, isn't he? I think. I get in my enjoyments differently though. So like, I love watching Rodri as an example. And I hope he can get back to his best for multiple reasons. Morgan Rogers would be a shout at the moment. Isak, I know it doesn't feel like it at the moment, but yeah, Isak, I'm a big fan of. It's a shame what's happened. Cole Palmer at peak, brilliant player, clearly. There's a few names for you, mate. Theo says, would you take Maresca as manager? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no. The only reason not to take him would be you know that he wants the Man City job. That would literally be the only thing that would be off-putting for me. Yeah, 100%. In fact, if tomorrow it was like, Tottenham appointed Enzo Maresca, I'd go down to Ledley's and have the shakes, mate. Yeah. King of Mandalore says, Fabrizio tweet from when Garner moved to Everton. Deal agreed with 15 million fee with buyback clause for United. Think people are misinterpreting that to mean that there's no way the buyback clause is 15 million. Yeah. There may be a buyback clause in there. Might be fucking 100. More likely to be 100 million or 15 million. Diljit says, do you have any New Year's resolutions to survive the year? Otherwise, no. Jay Barker says, think Stone Cold fits you best. I'm going to open a can of whoop-ass. Janega says, Mickey van der Ven. He really can do it all. I do love Mickey. Andrew Barton, Val Venus. Hello, ladies. Right, on that bombshell, before I get myself cancelled by doing impressions of wrestlers, I'm going to leave. Enjoy your weekend. I hope your hours are green. If you can support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Otherwise, see you for Game Review podcast on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Ciao for now.